Happy winter solstice, BoobTube. I am back with a new series of videos. I don't know why I didn't start this earlier. So, backstory on this. Back in late 2012, a buddy of mine named Simon, nicknamed Civ, we grew up together, him and his older brother Josh, and we loved, like, when the NES came out. Like, I mean, we had been gaming before on like the Commodore 64 and the Atari and such, but when the NES came out, like, we were all captivated by video games right from the get-go, and that was like this groundbreaking thing. And ever since then we've all been into video games. Josh not so much, I think, as he's gotten older, but me and Simon have stayed. Me especially, I think I'm probably the most addicted, but Simon too has stayed video game focused, and as he's gotten older as well. So we were thinking back in late 2012, we should go back and do like a quest to defeat a certain amount of retro video games, because we are more old school. I mean, I play lots of new games, as you know. I post lots of game footage and stuff, but my favorites are the old ones, the original ones, and Simon loves those ones too, more so than the new ones. So we thought we should do a fun little quest and defeat a lot of games. So we called it Bill 69. And so our quest was to defeat 69 retro video games, some of which we played as kids and maybe beat or didn't beat, some that were known to us back then but we never played, and then some that were kind of brand new to us as we discovered them in looking into this and finding the 69 games that we wanted to play. So we started late in 2012 and made our the way we've been doing it is we've been defeating 3 games at a time, and then I post short reviews of those games and our progress on them on my blog, kind of 3 at a time in these little triple plays. So the first 3 games that fell, I posted about them back in March of 2013, and it's hard because, you know, with me with a wife and a family and a house, Simon with a wife and a couple kids now in a house, it's hard to find, you know, we try to at least get together once a week during the week for a night of gaming, but that doesn't always happen. So, you know, we maybe average over the course of the year at least maybe 2 of the 4 weeks a month that we'd get together. So it's been slow going because of that, but then also in the early going on this, we picked some really hard games, like really hard games at the start that took us many visits, you know, to get completed. So it's been slow going, but as of now, I made my most recent post, I think last week, or no, early this week, and it was that was, we're up to 39 games completed. So we have made a lot of progress, but it's just taken us a little longer than we thought it would because of those circumstances. So I'm going back in time, and I'm going to do it much like I blog. I'm going to do them 3 at a time. And so I'm going to start with the first 3 that we eventually defeated back in March of 2013. The first one is River City Ransom for the Nintendo Entertainment System. This game was released by Technos back in 1989, and the story behind it was you can play it one player, but we love 2-player co-op games as kids. Those were our favorites, and they still remain our favorites. Like, we play a lot of single player games and take turns, but 2-player co-op by far are our favorite varieties. So this one you can play 1 player or 2-player simultaneous, and the story is that you're these 2 high school kids, Alex and Ryan, and Ryan's girlfriend gets kidnapped by like a rival high school gang and gets taken to their high school. So you basically bash and crash your way through the city on your way towards their high school to confront this gang, beat the Christ out of them, and get your woman back, right? So along the way, there's lots of different environmental objects that you can use as weapons against these guys, and that's one of my favorite features in games like that. When you can pick up a random object like a garbage can and smash it over somebody's head, or they drop weapons and you use the weapons or whatever, like, that's one of my favorite features in old school video games, is when you have that interactivity of the scenery and the objects and stuff. Now, the other feature that I liked about this game is that when you beat enemies, they drop like coins and stuff. So every once in a while there would be a strip mall type area in a level. You can go in and spend coins to like buy food to top up your energy. You can buy like books that will teach you new moves to perform and increase your stamina. So there's that kind of thing that you strategize on how you want to focus your earnings, I guess. Yeah, so then that's it for that one. It's a pretty simple game. Not the hardest game. Not super easy, but more on the easier side of things. The second game up, which is one of my favorite of all time, is Mega Man 2. Also released in 1989 for the NES by Capcom. Probably my favorite video game developer. This was like probably my favorite of the Mega Man series and one of the most iconic games of all time. In the first game, like the story of Mega Man is two doctors, two scientists, Dr. Light and Dr. Wily, are friends in the beginning, and they develop advanced robotics, but they have different opinions on what they want to use them for. Dr. Light's a little more peaceful in growth and development and bringing advancements to the world, whereas Dr. Wily is a little more towards the aggressive, use them for more military, aggressive type things, right? So they had this diverse ways of thinking, drove a rift between them, and so now they're enemies. And Dr. Wily in the beginning created these robot masters that he made evil to try and take over the world and such. And so Dr. Light creates a robot named Mega Man to combat Dr. Wily and his robot masters. So that's the way the first game went. The second game, which is the one we did, it just got even better. Everything about it got better. The more robot masters, better weapon system, better everything. So in this game, there are 8 robot masters you can face in the game, and you can choose any of them in any order you want. And so you go through their stage, and in the end, you enter their boss chamber, and you have to fight them. Now, the tricky part about Mega Man is that using just your regular weapon, the Mega Buster, against any of the bosses usually is like, it's a hard boss fight. Like, chances are you're going to lose. So when you beat a boss, you acquire that boss's weapon. So that weapon will then be a severe weakness to one of the other robots, and at first you don't know who it is, so you kind of just have to, it's trial and error experiment. Like, there usually is one boss who's weaker to the Mega Buster, so you got to find him first, and it's usually still not an easy fight, but it's manageable, right? So you beat him, get his weapon, and then you have to find which of the robot masters is then weak to that weapon, right? So then you have to go through the game on that basis and piece it together. And once you do get through all 8 robot masters, then you confront Dr. Wily in his castle. There's usually 4 stages to his castle where you have to work your way through, then face some sort of a boss at the end of it. In Mega Man 2, it's one of the hardest. You have to face the Yellow Devil, who is this like weird monster that kind of warps to the other side of the screen in pieces, and the pieces hit you and do tons of damage, and you can only hit his eyeball, and it's a limited time you can hit him. It's like super hard. So and then once you get through the 4 stages of Wily's castle, you then have a boss rush where you have to face all 8 robot masters again, but by then you know their weaknesses, and you can just kind of, it's still challenging, but it's a lot easier than it sounds, right? And then you face Dr. Wily himself. Still so tired, middle of the day too. And then you actually face Dr. Wily and defeat him in the end, and that's how you beat the game. The 8 robot masters in Mega Man 2 are, let's see if I can remember them: Airman, Quickman, Woodman, Crashman, Flashman, Metalman, Heatman, and Bubbleman. Those are the 8 robot masters. Some of the most iconic ones. People are like, what's with Bubbleman? His weapon is bubbles, but you know what? He's awesome. I love him. Woodman's one of my favorites. Airman is like one of my all-time favorites. I love Airman. So everything about the game is just fantastic. I could play Mega Man games all day long, and as you might know by looking back on some of my recent pop culture videos, you know that we've actually been playing through the Mega Man series, me and my son, pretty routinely lately. So and we just finished Mega Man 8, which I just videoed about earlier today, I guess it would have been. So that's Mega Man 2. The last game, this was released for the Sega Genesis in 1992 by Sega, and was a game I just picked up as a kid for the Genesis. I liked the cover of it. It looked neat. and it ended up being one of my favorite games of all time, just like Mega Man 2 is one of my favorites. It's called Kid Chameleon. We never beat it as kids. It's one of these games that is so long and so hard. There's no password function, there's no save feature. You just have to go through it all in one shot. And the problem is it's a bit of a maze. So there's different exits to every level, or to most levels, I guess. Some of them just have one. But depending on where you exit in a level will take you to different zones, right? And then you have to find... So you have to piece your way together through this game to get to the end boss. And it's just really tricky to know where to go. And that's half the problem. It's not that you don't have the skills to defeat the enemies. It's just you only have a certain amount of lives. And when you're constantly kind of going around in circles and trying to find your way, you just run out of lives. And you have to try again, right? So the story behind it is that you're this kid named Casey who frequents the Wild Side Arcade. And one day there's this new... arcade machine there called Kid Chameleon, except when you step into it, you're taken away to a digital world. So it's almost like a virtual reality thing, except you're actually in the game, sort of thing. So Casey doesn't have any weapons naturally, so to speak. He's this frizzy-haired kid with a jean jacket and some shades on, and all he can do in his regular form to destroy somebody is to jump on top of them, much like, Mario. But the unique aspect of Kid Chameleon is that you can acquire these different types of helmets as you go through, almost like reality vision or virtual reality helmets that turn you into some sort of different character that gives you abilities. There's like a little skeleton guy with one of those pointy hats that drives a tank and you can shoot things. There's a knight that has a lot of armor and he can climb walls. There's a white futuristic looking dude who rides a hoverboard. You can turn into a small fly that has like limited flight capabilities and can stick to walls for a limited time. What else is there? There's a samurai ninja who can jump really high and has a sword. There's a tornado guy you can spin up in the air for a while, and there's a couple other ones too that I'm probably forgetting. So different enemies in different environments of the game are more suited to different helmets, so you kind of have to know what they do, know their capabilities, and know when to use them, and it just makes it that much easier to get through any given part of the game. So so then you just use these helmets to your best effect, but most of all find the correct route through the game, the most direct route through the game, in order to not die as often, and eventually hopefully have enough left to take on the final boss and win the game. So that, I can't tell you, like, it was like 21 years in the making from the time I first purchased that game and me and Simon finally beat it. And it felt fantastic. It was just awesome to beat that game. So like I said, everybody probably knows Mega Man 2 or the Mega Man franchise. That's no surprise to anybody, but if you haven't, if you're a retro game guy and and you like Sega Genesis, you like Super Nintendo, and you like old games like that, and you've never heard of Kid Chameleon, I like, just without even thinking about it, just go get it. It's so much fun. And eventually look at a walkthrough to find the route you need to take through the game, because it took us a long time to figure that out. So so that's it. That's my first Bill69 video blog entry. I don't know how routinely I'm going to do these. I'm going to try and do them somewhat regularly going forward, because I've got a whole bunch of them to post, because obviously we've beat 39 games, so that's quite a few entries I can put up for grabs right now. So but I'll try and do them when I get to them, when I can, between all my other stuff. And there'll be lots more games coming, lots more old games, lots more hard games. We made that mistake. So but yeah, lots of fun me and Siv are having. Maybe even one day I'll have him on here as a guest. But I know that he knows I post like gameplay footage to a YouTube account, but I don't think he knows that I actually do like regular videos like this. So I think he would be surprised by that. But maybe I'll let him know one day, and I can have him on as a bit of a guest star. So yeah, but that's all for now. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you soon.